The wind at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware carried a sharp winter bite this Tuesday afternoon. Gray clouds hung low over the runway, mirroring the heavy silence of the gathered officials. It was mid-December, and the thermometer near the hangar hovered just above the freezing mark. On the tarmac, the engines of a massive transport plane began their slow, rhythmic whine. The air smelled of jet fuel and the damp earth of a Delaware winter morning. Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, known to everyone in Marshalltown as Nate, was 29 years old. He grew up in the heart of Iowa, where the cornfields stretched toward the horizon. Nate was a man of steady hands and a quiet resolve that defined his small-town upbringing. Beside him in spirit was Sergeant Edgar Torres-Tovar, a 25-year-old son of Des Moines. Edgar carried the hopes of his community in every step of his military service. Joining them was Ayad Mansoor Sakat, a civilian interpreter who had made his home in Michigan. Sakat was the bridge between cultures, a man whose voice brought understanding to distant lands. On Saturday, December 13th, these three men were part of a convoy near Palmyra, Syria. The Syrian sun was high, casting long shadows across the ancient, sandy ruins of the region. The hum of the Humvee tires was the only sound in the vast, open expanse of the desert. Suddenly, an ambush situation occurred as an attacker targeted the joint American and Syrian forces. The peace of the morning was shattered by the sudden chaos of the engagement. In the moments that followed, the attacker was subdued on site by the responding security team. But for the families in Marshalltown and Des Moines, the world had already changed forever. Word reached the Iowa National Guard headquarters as the sun set over the American Midwest. Meanwhile, in Washington, the logistics of the dignified transfer were set into motion immediately. The Pentagon Situation Room monitored the preparation for the long flight across the Atlantic. By Tuesday afternoon, President Donald Trump arrived at Dover Air Force Base to stand with the families. Governor Kim Reynolds of Iowa stood nearby, her presence a testament to the grief of her state. Members of the Iowa congressional delegation lined the edge of the tarmac in silent formation. The ramp of the transport plane lowered slowly, revealing three flag-draped caskets in the dim light. The carry team, wearing pristine white gloves, stepped forward with a synchronized, rhythmic precision. Every footfall on the metal ramp echoed like a heartbeat in the cavernous silence of the base. The president stood at attention, his hand over his heart as the first casket was moved. The cold wind tugged at the edges of the American flags, but the carry team remained perfectly still. One by one, the bodies of Nate Howard, Edgar Torres-Tovar, and Ayad Mansoor Sakat were brought home. They were moved carefully into awaiting vehicles, destined for the Air Force Mortuary Affairs Building. There, the Armed Forces Medical Examiner System would begin the final process of positive identification. The ceremony was not about politics or policy, but about the profound weight of a promise kept. Their names are now etched in the long, storied ledger of those who stood in the gap for others. In Marshalltown and Des Moines, the lights in the windows of grieving homes stayed on late into the night. The story of their service will be told by the neighbors and friends they left behind in Iowa. After that day at Dover, the sun rose again over the quiet streets of Michigan and the plains of the Midwest. The nation continues its work, carrying the memory of these three men in every silent prayer. A single bugle sounded in the distance, its notes fading into the cold Delaware sky.
If you want to hear vivid stories from the U.S. every day, please subscribe and like.